I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, or maybe just the good and the ugly. So if I search for a business online, and let's focus on real estate agents, if I put in their name and a Google profile doesn't show up, that's obvious. They need that. But if it does, and the main cover photo is a picture of a parking lot, that's bad. Oof.
Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real, the podcast where we talk to the most interesting people in real estate. And we got a good one for you today. We are going to be talking to Scott Vancea about Google Business Profile, aka formerly known as Google My Business, aka that thing that's on the side of the screen when someone Googles you and wants to see your reviews. So lots of great information for you if you're looking to optimize your presence on Google search results. This episode is brought to you by Real Geeks, but we're going to talk about them more later. So for now, let's dive right in. Scott, please introduce yourself.
Sure. Yep. My name is Scott Vancea. I've been in real estate tech for well over a decade. And in February of 2020, at the best time in the entire world to start a business, I started Optimize 5. So I'm the founder of the company and co-own it with my partner, Jonathan McGowan. And our whole focus is online brand optimization for all businesses, but I would say 70% plus of our clients are individual real estate agents and brokers.
Well, this is going to be a good one because I know that our clients definitely have a lot of questions about, whatever Google's calling it at the moment, Google My Business, Google Business Profile.
Exactly.
Yeah. So maybe we could just start for, the people that don't know what we're talking about. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'll paint the picture. Essentially, it's very simple. If I go out for dinner tonight with my wife and the other couple says we're moving to Austin and I say, oh, you need to work with my friend, Sean Smith. And I say all the things that you should say when you refer a realtor. He got my home sold quickly. He's a great marketer. He's a tough negotiator. When I build up who that person is and give them his phone number, they're not going to call first. They're just going to Google him first. That's what everybody does. You know that. I know that. All the listeners know that. And so what shows up is every type of search query, all of the links on the left-hand side, all of the blue links with all of the different places you can go. And then there's this white space on the right, which if it's just a general search query will be white. And if it's a business, it should have a big panel highlighting that business. And that is Google Business Profile, to your point, formerly known as Google My Business. And so it should show a picture of the business, the address, the phone number, the website, so on and so on. And it can be very dynamic or very generic, depending on what work's been done to the profile.
Right. And we're going to spend a lot of time digging into this right now because there's so many I don't know. It seems like it's a moving target with Google. So, so we want to give our listeners like the best possible, insight into what to do at the moment, but it's also just hyper valuable. So, I mean, maybe as we go on, you already said that everyone starts by Googling, if they're going to go out to dinner or they're looking for a real estate professional, they always start by Googling. But when you get asked, well, why should I just pay attention or why should I pay attention to this? What's your stock answer to that?
Yes, it's, I like to give that story, no matter who you're referred to, even lead gen. I mean, all of the compelling outcomes that someone has with any type of lead gen that they're doing, or if they're leveraging, a solution like Real Geeks or what have you, at the end of the day, the foundation to any lead gen is your online brand. And so when someone says why does this matter? I run them through that scenario. Hey, if I received a mailer or if someone referred me to you, because that's one part, right? Is people will say, well, wait a second. I only work by sphere of influence, repeat referral. So I don't really see why this matters. I'm like, if you referred someone to me, I am going to Google them first. I'm not just going to call them, right?
Yeah.
When I go to my new chiropractor next week, I'm going to Google them to get the directions, or I'll put it into my Apple Maps or what have you. And I'm going to see their profile and I'm going to read their reviews very quickly. I might do it while I'm driving, which is against the law. And then I'm going to filter by negative reviews. I'm going to read the bad reviews first. So there's a lot going on here. And when I speak to a business owner and I convey that, typically they go, oh my God, I need the best of me to show up when someone looks for me. That's really the highlight. That's the headline. The best of you should show up when someone searches for your business online.
That's right. I love that explanation. That's good. And I don't think that we can emphasize enough the fact that, yes, the reviews show up and you need to be working towards making that stuff, like the best possible reviews, show up at the top. Right. Okay. So let's say someone's like, all right, I'm with you. I understand how important this is. I know that people are going to Google me. I know that Google's pushing this information, even if I'm just typing, let's say it's a chiropractor example and going to an office, or you're going to the real estate professional's office, right? And they're going to, they're going to hit reviews. And even if you're on Apple Maps is syndicating in Google reviews, right? So there's no escape, right? So what's the roadmap here? Like what is the starting path where people start to go down?
Yeah. Our approach when we're speaking to folks is we take our emphasis off of them working with us necessarily. And that brings down the defense. And so if anyone listening to this, the whole objective here is that there's a lot that you can do for free. Google Business Profile is free. However, Google will unilaterally create profiles for businesses. They do it all the time. Many folks, I would posit, have Google profiles and they don't know they have it. They haven't Googled themselves or Googled their phone number. That's another one to look up. A Google profile can come up. If my name is Scott Vancea, Realtor, that's my business name. But 2 years ago, I started a Facebook business page called Our Awesome Arcadia Homes. Sometimes Google profiles get made under that business name with the phone number of the realtor. And they don't realize their phone number is associated to this business that's out there. That's not showing the best of them. So in terms of roadmap, I always tell people, look, you need a Google profile. I think you know that why. We talked about why. They're free. Go to YouTube, go into the search bar and say, set up Google Business Profile. There are 5-minute tutorials on how to do that. The reason why folks meet with us is because we audit their information online essentially to figure out where the gaps are and talk about optimization. Optimization is different than just having a basic profile. And I'd love to dig into what that means.
Well, I mean, you teed it up. So tell me, when you're cracking that thing open, what is the biggest targets that you're looking for to move someone from just you got a profile. Great. You showed up. You're at the starting line to this is great.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, or maybe just the good and the ugly. So if I search for a business online, and let's focus on real estate agents, if I put in their name and a Google profile doesn't show up, that's obvious. They need that. But if it does, and the main cover photo is a picture of a parking lot, that's bad. Oof. It should be their headshot, right? If they're a team, maybe it's the team profile or their logo or something like that, but it should not be a parking lot or a street view, which is the default image that will show up if they haven't done anything to their Google profile. So right away,
I mean, if your office is in your house, then who knows what's going on there?
Which is a whole other topic, right? Called service area business. That's right. So if their home shows up, that's a bigger thing. That's even a separate issue because it shouldn't be their home. That's against Google policy. And that happens all the time as well, Chris, is where the house shows up. And so right off the bat, cover image. And then as you go down the line of a Google profile, it's cover image, it's website button. There should be a button that goes to their website. There may not be a button. There should be a call button. If there's no phone number on there, that's bad as well. Not just visually, because all of this correlates with the next search, which is, but I want to work with a top real estate agent in Austin or what have you. Their ability to rank in that search is almost solely based on how well optimized their Google profile is. So you've got images, you've got buttons to their website and their phone number, you've got reviews, and everybody listening has been told for 15 years to get reviews on Zillow, and then Yelp, and then Reach 150 or Facebook or Redfin or Realtor.com. And I mean, I'm not saying don't get reviews there, but the first thing I see is your Google profile, right? So then you've got reviews, then you've got products, then you've got, I'm going off of memory now, postings, you have social media links. All of this stuff is built into the profile. And so again, keeping it kind of rudimentary, all of those things can be added by the individual for free. Except for reviews. I mean, they have to request the review from a client, but everything can be built out for free. Doing it right and doing it technically right. Backlinking products, backlinking the posts, and then business citations, which is taking the name, address, and phone number. NAP is the acronym. And I know you've got a digital marketing background, so you're probably more familiar with this than most business owners who don't focus on marketing.
you're in great company when you say that you need to focus on the Google reviews, right? Like
Right.
there's some huge names in the real estate space that are saying the same thing of like,
Yes,
guys,
of course.
you gotta have reviews, you gotta have videos. I
Yeah.
think that, you know, where I'd like to take this conversation is like maybe some of the things that are not reviews, because like, so for anyone listening right now, like you should solicit reviews when someone's very happy with the work that you've done. You should say like, here's a link. Please go to my Google profile and tell the world how great it was working with me. Done. Collect as many as you can of those, right? And they will outweigh the good, will outweigh the bad. You'll have like high stars, all that kind of stuff. But I guess, you know, I'm really interested to hear from you. Like you mentioned a bunch of other components there that, you know I hadn't really thought about.
Yeah.
And so like maybe let's drill into those. And like you were even talking about backlinking business, you know, whatever. Some of these terms sound a little SEO-ish.
Yeah.
Like, let's dig in.
Yeah. Hyperlocal SEO. Right. And so SEO is this broad topic, and we don't get into website SEO or deep SEO in our business. That's a whole separate thing. But there are SEO fundamentals built into a Google profile. And to your point, if someone stopped listening to this podcast right now, which God forbid they would do that, but if they did this episode and all they did was get as many Google reviews as possible and put their headshot up there, they would be 65% of the way to a fantastic, you know, optimized profile. However, if you look at a Google profile for a nail salon, they'll often have products. It's actually built into the profile. And that seems like just a visual thing. Like you're showing the consumer that you offer different types of nail salon services. I don't know why I picked nail salons. I've never been to one, but I drop my daughter off at one often with my wife, which is expensive. So they've got these products built into the profile, which are visual. And you think, oh, great, that's a place for a business owner to show their wares. A real estate agent, other than listings, may not have products, and real estate agents don't always have listings. However, you need products in the Google profile. It's not just visual, it's technical. So there are products that real estate agents always offer. They always offer home buyer consultations, home seller consultations, property value analyses, these types of consultative products that should be in a suite on the profile, not just to show the consumer, but because Google likes it. When you click on one of those product images, there's verbiage and there is a link, and that link should go. Now, there doesn't have to be a link, but there should be a link. And if it goes back to the website, it's the same website that all of the things about that realtor online are linked to. And that's called a backlink. And the more places that your name, address, and phone number are linked to the same website, that's an SEO fundamental. So to your point, Chris, as I dig in, it's important to dig in, but it can get a little bit complicated for people. And so that's when they come to us and we show them the stuff.
That right there was a killer tip, right? Because awesome. I had never thought about using the products and thinking about like, I guess what services, you know, that a real estate professional could provide, and then putting them in there, and then, you know, giving yourself your own backlinks from Google, you know,
exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
You know, so, okay, I want to keep pulling this thread on like elements of the Google business profile that can be optimized. But, you know, maybe a question that I've got for you real fast is like, and you kind of addressed it before, which is like, this doesn't really feel like traditional SEO. So like anyone that's thinking like, oh my God, it's like meta tags and it's backlinks and it's whatever. Like, I don't know. My instinct here is like, no, this is like a marketing channel that you need to be thinking about that should probably be at the top of the list.
Yeah, I mean, it trumps everything else. In fact, in my estimation, because, you know, we'll get a call from a business owner, a real estate agent in particular, all the time that goes like this. When someone looks for real estate agents in Austin, I want my website to come up first. Mm-hmm. It's not happening. It's not happening. I mean, come on. There's 20,000 real estate agents in Austin. I don't know how many. They all have websites. Some of them are the index site on their Keller Williams page or EXP or whatever it is. Some of them have invested a lot of money in a beautiful, dynamic website with IDX, et cetera, that does lead gen. And you are trying to beat in that search Realtor.com, Redfin, and Zillow, and all of these different websites, and you want yours to be at the top. And they say, just use SEO to do that. So now we get into keywords and long-tailed keywords and all of this sort of content built into a website to get it to rank. If you did a search like real estate agents in Austin, there's something else that pops up. amongst all of those websites. And it's usually right away or in the first half of the page. And that's called the Google 3-pack. And the Google 3-pack are the top 3 Google business profiles. So there's your shot, especially if you're in a smaller town, of ranking on page 1. And below the Google 3-pack is a button that says more businesses. And when you click that, it's all of the real estate agents with Google profiles in that city. So there's your opportunity to rank. And so to your point, in terms of SEO and all these things, the first thing we always say to folks is you can door knock all day. You can send mailers through all these great programs like CoreFact or Every Door Direct or whatever it is. You can do all kinds of online ads, everything you would do. But at the end of the day, this is the one thing you truly control, which is what shows up for you when someone looks for you, which they all will if they've been referred to you, and your ability to rank amongst other real estate agents. That's why that piece is so important.
And it's almost like a more fair game. So like it is interesting to say like, oh, I want to go compete with, with Zillow or Redfin, and that's going to be really hard. And just, okay, well, you're at least 15 years behind. Right.
Exactly.
Even if you had the budget to compete with those guys. Right. So really like the answer there on a strictly SEO basis is you're going to have to carve yourself out a niche. Right.
Exactly.
But what you're saying is, no, you can actually go compete with these guys because when someone does go looking for the real estate agent in Austin, there's something that Zillow doesn't even qualify for. Like they are one business and they're not in Austin.
Right. Exactly. That's right. Yeah. Exactly. That's such a good point. And also, folks, real estate agents don't all offer the exact same thing. Many do things, have specialties. For example, we have a client who speaks Mandarin. Well, the fact that she speaks Mandarin can be built into a Google profile. So I may not be looking for a real estate agent in Las Vegas. I may be looking for a Mandarin speaking or Chinese speaking real estate agent in Las Vegas. Now the outcomes are totally different. And it's, again, this isn't just what shows up on Google. It's in the profile. It's built into the Google profile. And this profile, once again, is free. And so when we're meeting with clients and we spend 30 minutes doing a free consultation on their profiles, I say, look, do you speak another language? Often they do. I mean, I live in Southern California. There's a lot of folks that speak Spanish, but you wouldn't know it by their profile. And there are people looking for Spanish-speaking real estate agents. So again, there's so much power in this. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. No, I love that because think about the other side of this, right? So we're going to get nerdy on you here for a second.
Yeah, please.
People tend to interact with their phone or their browser in their native language.
They
right.
Sure do.
And
That's
so
right.
like depending on what the browser settings are and depending on how the person is typing that query in, they're going to get different results. And so if Google sees Spanish language, Spanish question, or even Spanish language browser setting, but English question, it's a wild card of what they throw out there. So yeah, you got to tag that up. We have a customer that's in Hawaii that's her entire site's in Japanese.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. And so she's done a great job of building out this Japanese website. Does her Google profile also reflect the same? Because it's just getting all of that information to coincide and match in as many places as possible. That's going to help her to rank for that query.
Absolutely. Okay. So we talked a little bit about the product section. We talked about the review section. What else in the Google business profile do people need to be looking at?
Yeah, it's such a great question because there's the consumer facing piece, and then there's the behind the scenes piece. Okay. Right. So the product is consumer facing. So it's really easy to deconstruct that when you're looking at someone's profile. You can see, they built into this that one of the services they offer are, I just had a real estate agent we spoke with last week who focuses on divorce and probate and that kind of stuff. That was built into the profile. And if, a crisis in one's life, they're looking, I need to work with somebody who understands probate to work with me on my own or to take over this family member, so what have you. That's built into the profile. Great. That's on the front end. But on the back end, there are services and there are categories. Now, the caveat to all of this is to be compliant. There's a lot of people that do what we do who make suggestions on Google profiles that are not compliant with Google. And so I'm not talking about real estate board compliance. I'm talking about Google compliance because Google's bots will approve many of these things without reviewing them. And then they get audited. They do these rolling audits and they find these things. So keeping that in the back of our minds as we talk through it, services and categories are in the back end of a Google profile. So the front end shows one category, real estate agent. But in the back end, there are other categories, and there are manually inputted categories and services like Spanish speaking real estate agent, like, there's one category that a license that a realtor can have around working with seniors. All of those things can be built into the back end, and Google sees them. The consumer may not see them, but Google sees them and Google loves them. And then one other sort of step back to the reviews that coincides with all that data in the background is that Google, and I know you probably know this, Chris, for sure, but a lot of real estate agents don't realize Google reads every review. They read the language of the review. So when I say John Smith is the best listing agent in Austin, when someone Googles best listing agent in Austin, Google sees the exact match of that language and loves it. And if I say Chris is an awesome listing agent, Google finds the synonym to the word awesome, which is top or best or excellent, and will still rank for that language. So in the back end, in the front end, you have reviews, not just the number, but the content. And then you have the products, and you have Q&A. Those show up on the front end. But in the back end, you have services, categories, and all of those things that can be manually inputted. Now, one extra thing I would add onto that is that folks often think, okay, great, I'm going to have all of my reviewers write the word top and best in their review. And I'm going to make a category and a service called top real estate agent in. Those are both no-nos. So for the latter, if you create services that aren't truly services, you might get approved for them, but Google can easily audit them. They can just remove them, and sometimes they can suspend the profile and make it go away for a bit until you explain what's going on. You don't want to get into that mess.
This is like, okay. So there's a couple things I want to pick up on.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
The first advice is like, do this from a point of like being genuine and authentic, right? Like, don't try and game the system. It's sort of like my wife's a corporate controller and accountant. And she's like, when talking about taxes, a lot of times she'll be like, well, the IRS thought you would think of that.
Yeah.
Right? And Google a lot of times is the same. It's like, they thought you would think of that, and they might not catch you when you do it. Right. Or when you're getting traffic from the thing that you've done. But when they take away your entire profile, you're going to think, well, maybe that was a bad long-term move. Right. So like, do it authentically. But I think the bigger picture here, which is just like a good like marketing 101, and I think also ties in with a lot of the conversation people are having about like the NAR lawsuit and the future of real estate, is you got to differentiate yourself, right? Like, are you the Spanish speaking real estate agent who's good at handling divorces? Right. And like, carve yourself out a niche so that you not only send very clear signals to Google on, this is exactly what I'm good at, and someone like this should come to me, but also, you're carving yourself out a defendable niche. So when you're saying like, this is why I charge what I do, like, it's like, bam. Yeah. Because you're the person that's best at doing that. Right.
Coming right back to what you said, which is doing it all genuinely. So, at the end of the day, Google is legitimizing their Google profile. They want this to show the truth about a business. And so the more ways you can think of subvert or getting around that, the more ways, to your point, that Google will think of those things and pull them all back in, right? And so net is differentiate yourself the way you can and should be legitimately. And everybody's got these amazing things that they know how to do. And here's one, tip I could give you right now on that. Most real estate agents want to focus on an area, and it's not just the whole city because that's too big of a pool. They've got a very particular focus where their geographic farm might be, something like that. And so if you're going to do that, if you really want to differentiate yourself, get hyper-focused on your area and move your Google profile to that area. Then you're more likely to rank in that area. And just to add on to what that means, your office location, your brokerage, where there could be 10 agents, 50 agents, 100 agents, that's in downtown Austin. But your home, I don't know any Austin neighborhoods. But
like, let's say like Circle C, right?
Circle C?
Round Rock.
Round Rock, perfect. Okay, so, but I'm focused on Round Rock. That's where I live. That's where I farm. That's the home value average I'm focused on. That's the turnover rate. That's a focus for me. If you live there, you can move your profile to your home and hide the address. It's called service area business. So do not do this and keep the address showing. You move the profile there, turn off the address. Google still knows you're in that area. So when I look for Round Rock, right?
Yeah, Round Rock.
Round Rock, top best Round Rock Austin real estate agents, you will be able to rank for that hyper local specific search query because Google knows that's where you're located. So just something to keep in mind. One way you can differentiate yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to put in a plug for the audience here real fast, because I think that Scott is explaining some things that other guests have talked about, right? So Teresa Bastian, who we're going to have coming up on the show again, here real soon. She lives in a neighborhood called Circle C and services a lot of people in that neighborhood. So like exactly what you're saying, like she checks all the boxes for doing really well at the stuff that you're talking about. The other episode people should go check out is, Harris from a couple weeks ago. And he talks about like basically getting those genuine reviews. Mm-hmm. And, for him, it was like a natural evolution of something that he just like, kind of figured out on its own. But you're explaining the technical back end of like why it's working.
Right.
So yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And just to jump onto that real quick, because it's such an important point. It's about the things you can control, right? Like you said earlier, I mean, I can't control competing with Zillow. But what I can control is asking all of my customers for reviews, replying to those reviews, making sure that my Google profile is in the area that I focused on, and most importantly, putting in all of my certifications, accolades, all that stuff into the profile so that Google can read it and I can differentiate myself from the rest.
Have any of your clients worked to, craft profiles that are around like, I think about, we're using Austin as an example because, it's a good one. But like in Austin, there's a lot of company relocations. It's like I work for Google, I work for Apple, it's like, and I'm, doing that path, right? Or second home things is probably another one that people really want to, I'm in Myrtle Beach, I'm in Lake of the Ozarks, I'm in, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. What have you seen people doing to kind of just double down on their niches?
Great question. So there's the Google profile, and then there's the other pieces that are outside of our own breadth of services, but there's still things that folks can do. So you should have, if you focus on lakefront property in wherever you are in the Muskoka region of Ontario, Canada, as an example, where I'm from originally, if that's where your focus is, then you can build that into your products. You can build that into your services. You can have you can have second home properties. All of those things can be built into services and categories because you're a consultant in that area. You focus on that area. You're licensed to work with people for those reasons. There's mortgages and all that kind of stuff that are focused on that type of buyer. On top of that, you can build a Facebook business page, as you should, that's around that topic. You can have a page on your website. So when we talk about backlinks, and not to get too in the weeds on this, but I can be linking back to my website, but I can also be linking back to the page on my website. So it's the same URL, but it's the page, it's the /page. So now it's the second home or lake view properties, what have you, page on my website that links to the product about that. So there's all ways that you can build into the profile these niches, but also website additions, Facebook business pages, Instagram, all that stuff, YouTube videos with all of the right tags around that type of real estate that can all be built around your focus.
This episode of Keeping It Real is brought to you by Real Geeks. Real Geeks is the all-in-one real estate sales and marketing technology platform that is designed to make real estate professionals more efficient. New for 2024, Real Geeks has 4 packages. The base package, which is the same platform that everyone's used to, that starts at $299, as well as 3 packages that include leads. So if you're looking to upgrade your technology and get leads, we've got something for everyone. All of the packages include SEO Fast Track, which is Real Geeks' AI-enabled SEO tool, which builds out long-tail, programmatically driven AI content for your listing pages. The data coming off this has been great in terms of generating long-tail traffic for our customers. You want to check this out? Head over to realgeeks.com and tell them that you saw us on Keeping It Real. Agents have a lot to do in a day, and they get told, you should produce videos and you should, be delivering value and you should, and sometimes it's hard to nail down like either what exactly they should be doing or like how exactly you fit that all into 24 hours. So, maybe my question is like, we know, again, reviews is like a pretty linear thing. Like there's a moment where someone's really happy with you that is the right time to ask, like maybe right after you close, ask for the review. Yeah. But some of these other things, like how do you think about fitting that into an agent's day?
Yeah,
when should they be
question.
thinking about it? How often should they be thinking about it?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That is a great question. And when I started my business in February of 2020, I remember realizing pretty quickly, because I had been noticing these Google profiles and online brand. I've been focused on reputation, specifically in the real estate space for some time. A good business owner can't do everything and shouldn't. You can't do everything. You're a real estate agent. So you're marketing properties and you're negotiating deals and you're becoming the best salesperson in the world and you're knocking doors and you're farming and doing all that stuff. And you've got to manage all of your social media and your online profile as well and know all the ins and outs of SEO. It's too much. However, there's a limited amount of resources that especially a newer agent has. And a lot of folks want to do as much as they can. So most of it should be automated. That's what we always talk about. And the first thing they should do, and I'll just give a quick shameless plug, but I think it's worth it, is that if you meet with us, go to optimize5.com and hit the schedule consultation meeting. We meet with realtors every day for 30 minutes for free, literally for free. There's no strings attached. We will do 29 minutes of audit and best practices and then a 1-minute pitch to hire us. And you do not have to hire us. And so right away, you get the data to see what you need to do to your profile. But in terms of managing all of this on your own, the way I kind of break it down is like this. You've got your Google profile, you've got your social media, and you've got video. And realtors should be shooting video, right? And you should shoot a video every day and write a blog every day. You're going to do all of that every day. So there's some really sort of quick and easy tips here, right? If you're driving to your listing appointment, I think this is one of the things that get in the way for a lot of realtors. It's production value. So when it comes to video, they want the best video they can shoot. So they get their hair done, they get the green screen, they get their script. Don't do that. Hit record while you're driving, put the phone up and say, hey, everybody, it's Scott from Austin Realty. I'm just going past my competitor's home. They've listed a house for sale. They're doing great, and I'm really happy for them. But I noticed there's a bunch of kids' toys on the lawn. Must have had a birthday party yesterday. It was Sunday. Just one quick tip. If you're listing your house, make sure to always keep curb appeal in mind. Keep the lawn nice and tidy. That's it for me. Have a great day. That video is a great video, and it's real. And it's like, look, you shot that in about 25 seconds. You didn't edit it. The hair was kind of in your face. People like that because it's real. Now post it to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and you're done. Instead of trying to get the best videos always shot and not staying consistent because you don't have a proper plan in place to just shoot the video and send it to the person you use in Canva or the overseas IC that you can hire for pennies on the dollar to edit it for you, put the words in and post it for you. So I guess the net is automation. Automate as much as possible. There's lots of tools you can use to do that. They're free. It's too large of a list to talk through all of them. So we're using video as the example. Social media is the same thing. You can automate your social media posts. You can use some generic stuff and occasionally put in some personal stuff. And now you've got a solid, a social media channel that people will enjoy listening to and you can grow your followers.
I think that's super sound advice. Yeah. We have another episode with Sasha from probably about a year ago where he talks about ins and outs of doing video. But a lot of the tips are focused on you use your iPhone. And if you want to do better than that, then you get, some of these like DJI, little microphones that go in your lapel. And by the time you've done that, you're so close to professional quality that it doesn't matter.
I got to, echoing what you said, my partner's getting on me to buy the latest iPhone because I don't have it because he doesn't like the video quality of our posts. But you know what? We get a ton of interaction. You can go to optimize5.com, go to the Instagram channel or what have you, look at our reels. And there's just me I go for a walk every day for exercise and I shoot something and it's good stuff. And you know what? At one point in your business, you have better production value and all that kind of stuff. For now, just get the content out and try to automate as much of it as possible. I shoot the video, I send it to a person and she adds the actual verbiage, right? So she takes the information, puts the words up using ChatGPT or another AI tool, which is basically free, and it is free, and put some sound behind it. And she does it in about 10 minutes. And I'm going to give a little bit of a secret here. She's 13. She's a person in my life who happens to be 13 years old. And it looks great. You know what I mean? It looks great. Yeah. Sounds great. Is it amazing? Yeah. It isn't the highest production value, but I'm getting good content out and people appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Probably just another little plug here because the follow-on comment that people always leave, and we're getting a little bit off track of the Google My Business, but I know this question is going to come up. It's like, well, what content should I post? And my answer to this, and this is probably from a little bit of my like old school SEO experience, is like, whatever question you got asked last is probably the thing you should answer. Right.
Right.
Like,
that's a great question. That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're not, I mean, if whether it's you asking the question because you're typing it into Google or whether it's a client asking you that question, you're not alone. Right.
Right. And yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
We both know, I am still one of those people who sat in an office with a lot of other people and had a question and didn't ask it because I was afraid that I would look stupid. And at the end of the day, everybody else or a lot of other people wanted to answer that question as well. And so, I totally agree. And I think what people do is they want to try to knock it out of the park with every post and every video. They want it to be that's the one that got me all of the engagement. You know what? Just put out regular good content, not BS content, not fluff, real questions, real questions that you can answer. And if I was to give one other quick tip, there's 1 minute posts, there's 1 minute videos, and then there's 11-second videos. They both have value. So, do them both, right? I made a video the other day. It's like, hey, everybody, it's Scott from Optimize 5. I had a customer ask me what's the one thing they can do to get more engagement, to get higher ranking, get more Google reviews, full stop, end of video, right?
Exactly.
Right? And then the day before that, I did a video about, the importance of NAP, which is the acronym that we talked about earlier, name, address, phone, having that information matching in as many places as possible. That was a longer video because it was technical. It was probably a minute and a half. And so they're both valuable, and not one of them is going to get watched a lot more just because it's short, but the other one has its own value. So
definitely. Okay. So diving back into the Google business profile stuff, you audit a lot of these things. You gotta, come on, share the secrets.
Yeah.
What are the biggest fails you've seen? Like,
Yeah. There's some big ones. So, right off the bat is the name of the business. And so what a lot of real estate agents don't realize is that the name on the Google business profile is their business name. So there's a pizza place around the corner from me called Pizza Venice. That's the business name. You're a realtor and your name is John Smith. That's your business name. Now, it might be John Smith, realtor, or for real estate board compliance purposes, it might be John Smith, realtor, Compass Realty, whatever it is. But the point is that that's the name. The name is not number one realtor in Arcadia, California, John Smith. That's not a business name, and you might get away with it for some time, but you don't want that out there because when Google sees it, and anybody, by the way, who has no access to your profile can suggest an edit and say, that's not right. And best case scenario, Google fixes it. Worst case scenario, Google deletes your profile and all your 100 5-star Google reviews go away. So that's the number one thing. It's not an ugly thing. It's more of a compliance thing that you just want to be careful of. The next thing is bad reviews. And the way that we talk with real estate agents about this is that it's okay to have a bad review. We get the calls where people say, I want this review removed. And the question I ask that a lot of people don't like to hear is the review legitimate? Because there are some people who can try to get a review removed, and try is the operative word here, that should not be removed. And so the key to managing your negative reviews is to reply to the review in the most amicable way possible, because the consumer sees it. When I filter by reviews on a company I'm going to work for, or work with, I should say, or I'm going to that chiropractor, if I see a response to the negative review that's amicable, it neutralizes the review. And that's not my opinion. That's a proven, social proof stat, is that a properly responded to negative review, basically it's a moot point. So they should be replying to that negative review, and then they should just bury it with so many 5-star reviews. It's almost like it was never there.
And in that reply, it's probably also worth saying, like, you shouldn't be starting a fight. Like, the person that's reading those reviews, they don't care what the actual issue is. But if you demonstrate that you're like, hey, I'm sorry you had this issue, and like work through good customer service, like best practices, like that's going to look a lot better for you. You're going to come away looking like a consummate professional, while the other person looks like,
Not only that, but to your point, Chris, it also could bring you the outcome you want, which is the customer actually calls you because you said, hey, Joe, I'm so sorry you had this experience. even if it's not true, you say, I'm not really sure, but could you give me a call? I would love to discuss it with you. The consumers who read that love that you were so quick to react. He may call you. It's not unheard of, and talk through the issue and may delete that review. You can delete a bad review that you've written for someone. So it gives you, on all accounts, it's the best possible outcomes that you have access to that are all done through a legitimate response. And then finally, if it's on those bad reviews, if it's not a legitimate review, you can lobby Google to have it removed. And, getting them removed is tough, but there are different tactics that can be used that are legitimate to get that review taken down.
Right. Okay. So thinking about like who should be employing this, the entire strategy, right? Everything we're talking about here. Is this like each individual agent should be doing this, or it's like the team should be doing this, or the brokerage should be doing this? Like, what's that level of, concentration or effort?
Yeah, that's a great question. It really depends on the makeup of the team, let's say, if it was a team. But for the most part, we typically tell folks that that each agent should have their own profile. So if it's an individual agent who's, out there kind of eating what they kill, so to speak, they're going to have their own profile, obviously. But if it's a team, it really depends on that makeup. So if you've got that traditional model where you've got like a listing agent at the top and then maybe buyer's agents rolling up underneath them, I understand wanting to have all the reviews in one place. And there's a reason to do that. On the other hand, if those folks ever leave the team, they can't take the reviews with them. They get a negative review. It's reflected on the team page. So it's actually more nuance to that. And we talk through those different options with agents. One answer might be, if you're called like the awesome Arcadia home team, is that each agent has a profile, John Smith, the awesome Arcadia home team, something like that. Now there's other negative outcomes that could come from that, meaning I'm looking for the listing agent and I Google their team name and I only get the new agent who's got the team name built into the profile. But now I'm getting into, so this is it's actually a nuanced conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And again, for anyone that's been around SEO for a while, like this is exactly the kind of conversations like, should I ever build on a microsite? Like what TLD should I use? Like, what geography should I use? Like all this kind of stuff. It's like very classic, things. And it's, you have to think about you really have to think about the structure of your business and what you're trying to accomplish. So yeah, I mean, some thoughts that just come to mind for me is like, if you have a team where people have very segmented responsibilities, it's like, oh, I am the transaction manager and I am the listing agent and I'm the buying agent. And you don't really do a lot of crossover and you really do work as a team. Like you want a team page.
For sure. Exactly. And just to add on a little wrinkle to that, but will probably help a lot of people, is that if you're the Jane Smith team, well, it's in the name. Jane's in the name. So if I'm looking for Jane Smith team and there's only one team page, then that's the page that's going to come up. If it's the awesome Arcadia home team, my name is Jane Smith. Now you've got a whole other sort of thing to be aware of, which is you've got the team page, you've got Jane's page, and you've got the individual agent's page or not. So there's, again, something to talk through with each person. Yeah.
A lot of real estate is like very focused around it's my name, it's Jane Smith Realty, and it's like focused on the headshot, right? Thinking about that, we already said like you probably don't want to name your business like number one best realty in Round Rock, Texas.
Right.
Like trying to do the SEO thing of cramming a whole bunch of buzzwords in there.
Right.
But what do you think is like branding versus like just naming what it is? Like where are you thinking about this right now? Should people come up with unique names for their real estate business?
There's it's not in LA, but there's a place called Nail Salon Near Me. That's the name on the building. And the reason why is obvious, but Google actually asks for the paperwork and asks to see the sign fixed to the brick that says that's what your business name is. And so I'm almost kind of answering the question right within that, which essentially there's your actual business name. There's your actual team name. And then there's whatever Google is deciding to do today. One day they might say, we're going to delete we're not going to ever allow for near me searches anymore, or something silly, right? They're constantly changing. And to your reference about your wife being an accountant, when the tax authority changes a rule, they send out policy and everyone reviews it and they tell you how to react to that. Google doesn't do that. They don't even tell you when there's a change. They don't tell you anything. They just do it. We are not Google. We don't know the algorithm. Anyone who says they do, they don't. There's certain things we know. There's certain aspects to it, and we're constantly adjusting, which is actually what
we find out when we're talking to our clients.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Looking at the traffic to their website. Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, just last week, Google profiles or outcomes on search changed for half a day in just the Americas and not Europe in a very fundamental way for half a day and then changed back. We didn't know if it was going to be permanent. We didn't know if it was a flub. So the best way to answer the question is going back to the whole sort of trying to do everything as legitimately as possible, which is this is your business name. You're a real estate agent. Just name yourself that and leave it alone.
Awesome. Scott, you dropped some serious knowledge bombs here. People, come on, take some notes. There'll be links down in the bottom to, we'll probably put together a little download and you can go get Scott's information there. But Scott, before we go, tell everyone where they can find you.
Awesome. Yeah. Just go to optimize5.com. That's the best place to look. And then you can see the button right in the top right corner that allows you to book a 30-minute free consultation with us. And I hope anyone who watched this video can tell it's truly free. There's no strings attached. We're going to give you a lot of great information. We actually do an audit before the call. So we do a business scan, which is a technical process to get all of your information online and be able to disseminate it and share that back with you. Find us at optimize5.com. That's OPTIMIZE and then the number 5.com. That's it.
Sounds great. Okay. Help me do a marketing thing here.
Sure.
So I often wonder who listens to the end of the episode. And so I think we should ask a question and tell them to put it in the comments. What do you think the question should be?
Based on everything that we talked about today and all the information that Chris and I gave you, is your Google profile optimized? Is that too general?
That's great. Let's do that.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, everyone, go down in the comments, leave that, give us a like, hit the subscribe button, go visit Scott, Optimize 5. All right, realgeeks.com. All right, see you next time.